Thank you, Miss Annie. Um, I am proud to introduce to you our next speaker for today. She graduated from Chiang College, batch 2002. She studied at the De La Salle University, Bachelor of Science in Commerce, major in Legal Management. Earned her Juris Doctor at University of the Philippines, recipient Dean's Medal for Academic Excellence and Carmelo V. Season Prize for Best Paper in Torts and Damages. She also attended Xiamen University for her Chinese language program. Her work experience. She is an associate at Cyclips Salazar Hernandez Gatmaitan, Assistant Manager, BDO Univac Incorporated, Legal Counsel, Eaton Properties Philippines, Deputy General Counsel, Millennium Challenge Accounts Philippines Incorporated, Assistant Vice President, Legal, SM Prime Holdings Incorporated. Currently, she's working as Director and Corporate Secretary at MNL Training Hub Incorporated, Mercasena Prime Ventures Incorporated, All Asia Structures Baguio Incorporated, JL Asia Realty Holdings Incorporated, and All Asia Structures Incorporated. She's also the director for LCTY Concrete Mix Enterprises Incorporated. She's a member of Integrated Bar of the Philippines, Makati Chapter. Her practice areas include corporate, commercial, special projects, banking, and intellectual property. Without further ado, let's all welcome Attorney Nastasja Karina J. Lopez.
Hi, ma'am. Hi, everyone. Thank you for that introduction. Okay, I prepared a short presentation on the legal profession. Let me just share my screen. Okay, can you guys see my presentation? Okay. So this is your rough guide to becoming a lawyer and law as a profession. So, okay, today we'll talk about if you want to become a lawyer, what would be ideal traits that you have or that you will develop, and then your pre-law or the road to law school, and then a glimpse of law school proper, bar review and the bar exam, then lawyers and the practice of law. So ideally, on the left, you have skills that you already have at present, or at least maybe you're getting there. So do you have above average reading comprehension skills? So usually you gain this by reading a lot. So I admit to being a bookworm. So ever since high school, grade school, I really read a lot. So in law school, I had no problems with the voluminous readings that we needed to do. So do you have discipline and commitment and a strong sense of fairness, justice, equity? This part is well, it's not that you're argumentative or that you tend to argue your point, but a strong sense of justice or fairness is really sort of your driving force, that you really fight for what you believe in and that you have a strong conviction. So there. And then humility in buckets. Later I'll get to this, why you need a lot of this during law school. So on the right, well, I say, can you be these things? Because I think these are really developed in college, more in college. So can you be a critical thinker? A critical thinker is a person who doesn't take anything at face value. You tend to question things and to fact check, or you don't consume everything as they are. So you really are very critical of things. An effective communicator, whether it be in written or verbal form. So I know people think that lawyers have to be good speakers, public speakers. So a lot of lawyers like myself, we're not really good public speakers, but we communicate well in writing. So good writers will have an advantage, definitely. So can you work well under immense pressure and stress? This is again something that you can hone while you're in college. So also you have to be a dedicated student for life, because like in the medical profession, we also have continuing legal education. So you have to be updated with all the new rules and regulations. So it's a continuing study of the law. So for your pre-law, any 4-year bachelor's degree will do. So the best pre-law course for you would be a course that you are really interested in. And ideally a course that can also be useful to you, whether or not you end up becoming. So a lot of people either don't actually go to law school after intending to do so when they're in college, for whatever circumstance. Maybe it's monetary or financial constraints, or um, some other motivation. So they don't end up in law school. So ideally, the course can serve you still. And also, some people enter law school and end up not finishing it, or not taking the bar, or not passing the bar. So at least you have that fallback. Okay, so the second criteria for your when choosing your pre-law course is it should be something that can instill good discipline, and hopefully it can develop your critical thinking and reasoning skills more. So um maybe the best way to describe this course would be something that's not too easy, because law school is very hard. So you don't want do to be studying something that's doesn't demand much from you, and then end up being surprised by the amount of work that you have to do in law school. Para hindi kayo mabigla. So really, that's the goal. So okay, so when you're done with your pre-law course, you apply to law school. So unlike the medical profession, we don't have a standard test like the NMAT. So you just take the entrance exam for the schools that you like. So the best law schools in the Philippines would be the UP College of Law, Ateneo Law School, and San Beda College of Law. I took the exam on my last year of legal management. So legal management is also a good pre-law course, but some might say it's too similar to being in law school already. So um, if you would want to study something else, since you'd be spending 4 years of your life in law school already, so might as well try something else. So legal management is all you can finish legal management in 3 years in De La Salle University. So I was done with my pre-law in 3 years. So I entered law school at 19. So I took the exam for UP and Ateneo first, but since the results came out right away, I didn't apply to San Beda anymore. So there. So then you're in law school, you spend your 4 years there. So 4 years of long days and nights of studying, thousands of readings, and a high stress environment. So remember earlier I said that you'll need buckets of humility. Um, Law school professors are notorious for uh, being very strict and like putting the students in their place. Like they would really call you out if you're not prepared. They'll make you go out of the classroom, yell at you, everything like that. So you have to have the humility that you know that this is something that you have to go through, and that you're not a very important person to them. So you really have to take that into consideration, that you're there to learn, and that you'll improve yourself even if you fail at the start, or you don't do as well as you'd hope. So that's why on the last on the right part, I said here that what it takes is commitment and determination, growth mindset. So meaning yun nga, at the start in law school, none of you are really prepared for it. So that's also what I wanted to discuss. So in law school, all law schools in the Philippines, they use the Socratic method of teaching. So the Socratic method, the teachers don't lecture, they don't discuss the topics, and then you listen. So what happens is they call on students. So this is the recitation. So they call on a student, then they ask questions about the assigned readings. So just question and answer. They keep on questioning the student, and then by listening to that exchange, all the rest of the students will learn. So that's the Socratic method. So it's every day you have the chance of getting called for recitation. So it's really high stress and high pressure. So I think it's good training for lawyers to be on their feet and then think on their feet. So that's what they do in law school. So, and also since you'll be studying for 4 years, you need minimal distractions. So medyo backseat muna the rest of your life. So no parties. Well, you can do that a little, but it has to be not distracting enough that you won't get to finish law school. So that's law school. So 4 years. And then after that, you take the bar review and the bar exam. So the bar exam is administered by the Supreme Court of the Philippines. It's conducted over the course of four Sundays of 1 month, and it covers 8 subjects. So it's really the most difficult exam. Well, they also say that it's the most difficult licensure exam in the Philippines. Because yun nga, just the coverage is so broad, and then it's all essay. So you spend 4 Sundays, 4 whole days writing your answers. So, and then because it's essay form and there's only one examiner, usually 1 or 2 examiners per subject, they take a lot of time to to check all the booklets, the thousands of booklets that will be submitted. So, for example, I took the bar September, the results came out March or April. Can you hear me? So it takes a while to check the papers. So on the picture here on the screen, you will see on the right side, that's where they display the names of the bar passers. So that's in front of the Supreme Court when the results come out. So they scroll the names there. So there, it usually takes 5 months of dedicated review when you take the bar, and then you can take it only up to 3 times. Then after that, if you still fail, you have to take a refresher course. So there. And also, one other trivia about the bar exam, it's 4 Sundays. So if you show up on the first Sunday, you take the exam, and then for any reason you cannot take the rest of the exams and the succeeding Sundays, there's no makeup test or anything like that. So you really are considered failed if you don't show up on the other Sundays, even if it's for a valid reason. Okay, so here are some statistics of the bar exam. So typically about only 25% of the takers pass the exam. So there's just one outlier year here, 2016, that about 59% passed. That's the highest passing rate in history of the Philippine bar exams. So usually it's just 22, 23% of the takers pass. So, okay, so you passed the bar, now you're a lawyer. So here are the typical practice areas for lawyers. So litigation is what you see in movies, kind of. It's the courtroom scenario. So that's typical lawyer. And then the corporate or commercial lawyer, which I am, we do general corporate work, labor, tax, banking and finance, intellectual property. And then there's also special fields like public international law. So this is the where if you recall the West Philippine Sea issue, public international law lawyers are
Okay,
those who
nakapasok
handle
na ako.
this.
Find me.
And then for environmental, there's also environmental law, competition law, data privacy. So there are more and more emerging fields in law. So like data privacy is very new. It concerns all our use of usually the use of websites and the internet. So data privacy is a big issue right now. So there, and then there's also now fintech law, which deals with e-commerce mostly. So there. So career opportunities for lawyers. So definitely the most common route for a newly admitted lawyer is to go to a law firm. So the practice area that you will be going into will depend on the type of firm that you entered and the size of the firm. So when I first became a lawyer, I joined CSIP Salazar, Hernandez and Gatmaitan Law Office, and it's a full service firm, so I was able to try most of the practice areas that I mentioned earlier, like litigation and corporate. And then other people go in-house or the in-house counsel route. So they handle the legal work, documentation. Documentation is contracts for private companies. So your clients in this scenario are internal. So like your clients are the management of the company, the business units. So you handle all the legal concerns of the organization. Then for other career opportunities, there's solo practice or when you put up your own firm. And then there's public service. You go into government service or the judiciary, the academe, or you can also do business. So basically anything you want. Being a lawyer is a good base for doing whatever you want to do. There are even some lawyers who become doctors later on. So I'll in the next slide I'll discuss that more. So the life of a lawyer. So pros. If you want to become a lawyer, these are the advantages. So you are able to help people in need. So people who are not being treated fairly, or they need help to defend their rights. So you are able to help them. Then you can, since you've been studying the law and you've been practicing it, you can identify potential legal problems in most scenarios. So this guides you in everything that you do. And then you have really good earning potential as a lawyer. So similar to doctors, I don't think may naghirap na lawyer. Okay, so there. You will not be easily scammed. So since you've been practicing critical thinking and then you really are aware of the legalities, then plus people are scared of lawyers in general. So you won't be the victim of scams usually. And then every business will likely need a lawyer. Actually, almost every family will likely need a lawyer at some point. So you will be an asset to your family and also to your own business if you decide to put up one, or to your family business, which is typical in Chinese families. So like me, I'm now with our family businesses. That's why it's so many kanina. Anyway, so the downside naman of becoming a lawyer, you need to sacrifice a lot of time to become one, and of course money also, since you have to pay for the tuition, but it's not as expensive as med school. So, and then that's 4 years that you really dedicate to it. You're not earning anything while you're in law school unless you become a working law student, which is also possible, but you finish usually in 5 years if you're working. There's an evening class option for law school. They finish in 5 years. So there. And then this is my personal what I feel is the downside of becoming a lawyer. So you are a repository of people's problems. So you will 2 and 3, you will take on stress. Number 2 and 3 in the slide, you will take on the stress that your client cannot handle. So people go to lawyers usually because there's a problem. So they don't go to you when they're happy, when there's no problem, typically. So there. So lawyers are also unfairly portrayed at times. Like people think lawyers are tuso or they're I don't know, they're sneaky, but um, that's not true. And then are we are actually guardians of the law. We're supposed to be upholding legal things, and then we're not supposed to be doing anything illegal. So we have high ethical standards. So actually you can be disbarred for doing anything remotely unethical or illegal. So there. And then people have this misconception also that lawyers can solve any legal problem. When, as I said earlier, we have different practice areas. So um, people will come to you with marital problems or family problems, estate problems, and they think you can help them because you're a lawyer. But of course, if your practice area is corporate, you're not really an expert on those things. So you don't feel comfortable giving advice or helping them. So that is misconstrued at times as really you're not willing to help them. You're just not willing to do it. So there. And then the last disadvantage is you become a bit too risk averse since, as I said, you are aware of all the possible legal consequences of things, and that you are, when you're a corporate lawyer also, you're always watching out for the worst case scenario. You want to protect your client against the worst case scenario. So you've already thought of all the bad things that can happen in a scenario. So sometimes if you're transitioning to business, it's a bit difficult because you are risk averse. So just sharing some of my favorite legal movies. So you can do a screenshot of this. So just something to watch if you want to be inspired to become a lawyer. So there are lots of good movies there. So thank you for being great listeners. So my email address is here. So if you have any questions at all, you can ask them now, or I will also be answering emails